In the year 2008, a movie was released starring Robert Downey Jr. that would shake the very foundation of the genre. It was unlike anything anyone had seen, and marked a new beginning in the actor's storied career, culminating in his 2024 Oscar win for Best Supporting Actor. No, not that movie. This one.
First, take a big step back and literally fuck your own face!
Directed by the great Ben Stiller, who too has since found himself breaking out of the comedy genre to direct the successful Adam Scott-led psychological thriller series Severance. This movie leads the race in films people like to say couldn't be made today. And to those people I say, suck my unit. Also starring in this masterful send-up of dramatic war films like Platoon and Apocalypse Now is Jack Black, Jay Baruchel, and Brandon T. Jackson, as well as mind-blowing cameos from the likes of Matthew McConaughey and Tom Cruise, who only agreed to do the film if he could have giant hairy hands and dance to 2000s era rap hits. Made on a budget of $90 million, the film went on to pull in over double that, and still to this day remains both controversial and hilarious. It's one of the funniest films of all time, masterfully directed by its star Ben Stiller, who loves to get jacked for comedies.
Hey man, you know how Rambo 1, he was big with little puffy, and then Rambo 2, he got all shredded up? Yeah, that's kind of how you look right now.
In the tips?
What?
In the tips you got?
You know, there's like the pineapple.
Give me that goddamn map!
It's endlessly quotable, it's timelessly clever, it's the one and only Tropic Thunder.
There were times when I was doing Jack that I actually felt retarded, like really retarded.
Yeah,
right?
you was farting in bathtubs and laughing your ass off.
What's up, beautiful people? I'm Zack, and you're watching Zack Makes Movies, the channel where we talk about...
You guessed it, Frank Stallone.
Tropic Thunder came out, I believe, a month or so after Iron Man did, which I thought was incredibly ballsy, because here's a guy who's gone through a lot of trouble in his life. He was in prison, he was at rehab for a while, and this is after fame. This was certainly an opportunity for Robert Downey Jr. to re-emerge as a star once again in Hollywood. So the fact that at that very time, he chose to sign on to do a comedy where he would be in blackface for the entire film is an interesting choice.
Took a whole lot of time just to get up that hill. Now we up in the big leagues.
That's the theme song for the Jeffersons.
And just because the theme song don't make it not true.
I went from not really knowing who Robert Downey Jr. was to seeing these two trailers pretty much within a month of each other, if not at the exact same time. But I do remember going and seeing it with my friend Brian and his mom, and there were certainly parts of that movie that were not particularly comfortable to watch with my friend's mom.
I'll cradle the balls, stroke the shaft, work the pipe, and swallow the gravy.
Starting with a very confusing opening.
Al Pacino's Booty Sweat. Poppin' ass open. Booty Sweat and Busta Nut bars available at concessions now.
Which we all in the audience thought were real trailers for very strange movies that happened to star the entire cast of Tropic Thunder. You got Tug Speedman in this insane action franchise that was clearly making fun of Stallone and Schwarzenegger type movies that just go way too far and get bigger and bigger and bigger.
Only this time, it's different. Who left the fridge open?
Jack Black was basically doing the white nutty professor. Kirk Lazarus doing a Oscar bait movie with Best Kiss winner Tobey Maguire. And I just thought that was so creative and it's such an interesting way to kind of get into the movie and also tell us pretty much everything we needed to know about each of these characters.
Here's my motherfucking bomb! No! I'm a lead farmer, motherfucker!
We jump into a sequence that we don't know initially is the movie, within the movie, until Robert Downey Jr. starts sobbing.
And action!
It's your boat, baby.
Damien, I'm sorry, not to get into his thing, but if I'm crying, should Osiris be crying too?
The whole idea of making fun of Hollywood in general, but also these kinds of war movies that we've seen for years, and the idea that it's these pampered Hollywood actors who are portraying these heroes there's a lot of potential for comedy there, and Ben Stiller just did such a phenomenal job of not only portraying that as an actor, but also as the director of the film, and certainly contributed a lot to the writing.
You guys all read the script, right?
I don't read the script. Script reads me.
What the hell does that even mean?
That shot of Jack Black hanging from a helicopter, the explosion that happens because Steve Coogan accidentally gives the signal, or so Danny McBride thinks. Another amazing cameo from this movie. You got Danny McBride, you got Bill Hader, Maria Menounos. Come on, it's a pretty good one. Christine Taylor, Ben Stiller's wife, who is in the Simple Jack movie.
Got a good brain.
I think you've got a fine brain, Jack.
Which was kind of like a Forrest Gump meets I Am Sam meets that shitty movie that came out a few years ago that no one saw.
You make me happy.
Some really fun in-jokes for Hollywood. I love when Tom Cruise asks the key grip to punch the director in the face. Just very funny. The key grip is the guy who's in charge of all of the grips who are in charge of equipment. So they're usually big, burly, strong guys who are carrying all of the lights and all of the stands and all of the equipment. The little moment with Tyra Banks interviewing Ben Stiller.
Somebody close to you said, "One more flop and it's over."
Aaron, Ian Rappaport said this morning, people close to him I know are preparing for the fact that this could be, in fact, be his last game in the NFL. What is your reaction to that?
People said they were close to me?
The concept of having these actors brought out into the actual jungle and setting it up so that they feel like it's more real is very cool, also insane from a logistical standpoint. But the twist that they end up in the backyard of a heroin processing plant is very clever. So there's all this miscommunication, which is the greatest possible thing in comedy, is characters not understanding what's happening with each other. And that's exactly what we get here. So you have these egotistical actors led by Ben Stiller, who's just gung-ho and wants to be the leader of this gang and going through the jungle, just getting way too into it. Meanwhile, the real deal people are out there who will kill them if given the opportunity. All of the genius comedy involving Robert Downey Jr.
What's the name?
Lance.
Listen here, Lance. Lance.
Who's playing an Australian actor named Kirk Lazarus, who has undergone this procedure to change the pigmentation of his skin and make him look like a very convincing black man.
When you wrote I Loved Your Pussy, was you thinking of dangling your dice on Lance's forehead?
He also goes 100% committed into this role. He says in the movie that he doesn't break character until the DVD commentary. Now, if you watch the DVD commentary on this movie, Robert Downey Jr. does the entire DVD commentary in character. The man is insane. It's so funny. If you haven't watched the DVD commentary, I highly, highly recommend it. I think Ben Stiller, Jack Black, and a few other people are on there as well. I remember seeing a video where Jamie Foxx was talking about a movie he was trying to make. A side point here, Jamie Foxx, easily in top 5 most talented people on the planet. But Jamie Foxx was pitching a movie that sounded kind of terrible. And he had asked Robert Downey Jr. to play a Mexican guy in the movie. And Robert Downey Jr. was like, I don't know about that. And then he was like, come on, man, you played a black guy. Now you won't play a Mexican guy? It's like, did you watch the movie? He wasn't playing a black guy. He was playing an egotistical moron who thinks it's okay to play a black character in a movie. That's why that works. It's not the same thing as him just playing a Mexican character in a movie and being a racist Mickey Rooney stereotype of a character. Sorry, Jamie Foxx, not the same thing. I don't know if we're ever going to see that movie, but moving on. Matthew McConaughey's character in this movie kind of saved his image for the idiots like me who don't watch girly rom-coms and were never a big fan of Matthew McConaughey outside of, say, Dazed and Confused. But pre-2008, that was pretty much all we had. That character he played in the movie, the Pecker, is what completely shifted the overall view of this guy in Hollywood.
What do you need, Peck?
And more like, what do you need, Les?
glasses? What?
So it's kind of a perfect vehicle to give him a new audience, which I always think is cool. Steve Coogan is very funny in this movie. I love the scene where they arrive and he gives this incredible epic speech to the actors, just like classic cliched idiot director who thinks he's hot shit, making some garbage movie that he's taking way too seriously. Been there. And after he gives this great speech, he turns around, immediately steps on a mine, and blows up.
Let's go and make the greatest war movie ever!
Ben Stiller thinks it's a prop head, so he picks it up and starts licking the blood out of it, which he thinks is warm corn syrup and latex. Very clever. Because, of course, it was. Jay Baruchel is great in this movie. He was kind of the less famous of the group. He was fun. He's kind of the straight man throughout the movie. My favorite part with him was probably when he's walking and he's just talking and talking and talking. I think he's talking about porn. And then at one point, Robert Downey Jr. just turns around and goes, "You talking to me this whole time?" I love that. But of course, the greatest Robert Downey Jr. scenes in this movie involve his contentious relationship with Al Pacino. Brandon T. Jackson is constantly questioning him, wondering why he's still using this offensive, stereotypical voice when they're not filming. But there's two incredible, famous moments in this movie, including those two gentlemen. One is when Ben Stiller says, "I don't believe you people."
Huh? What do you mean, you people?
What do you mean, you people?
Huh?
And then the other classic moment is when Robert Downey Jr. slaps Brandon T. Jackson for offending him as a black man.
For 400 years, that word has kept us down.
What the fuck?
The whole side plot with Ben Stiller wanting to be able to adopt his favorite thing in the world is a panda. And then, of course, once he goes out into the jungle, he's attacked by a wild animal and he slaughters it primally, only to find out, with a flash of lightning, that he has just killed a panda. And then when he calls his agents, Matthew McConaughey thinks he says Amanda and starts planning how to cover up the murder of a hooker.
Calm down. Here's what you're gonna do. Get your hands on some bleach, some hydrogen peroxide, and a shitload of lime.
Which is just a good agent. If your agent's not willing to do that, you need to either find a new agent or just pay them a little bit less. That's just standard Hollywood shit. Danny McBride has got a few funny scenes in this movie. He kind of gets linked up with Nick Nolte, which is a funny dynamic. I think he says he lost a finger on a Jamie Lee Curtis movie. I think that was the line. So he's relating to this war hero who's lost both of his hands in combat. Jack Black. Jack Black's got some really funny moments in this movie. He's playing kind of our Chris Farley, John Belushi character, big funny drug addict who's dealing with the insecurity of thinking that people only think he's funny because he's fat and he's on drugs. The scene where he fights a bat for crack is pretty great. The scene where he jumps onto a water buffalo.
We have a bunch of things in common, but we have one thing in common, I believe, which is we both were stupid enough to get on a water buffalo.
We're in Hawaii. We're recreating Southeast Asia. We're supposed to be in Vietnam. And so I'm on the back of this water buffalo. They assure me that it's safe, and I'm just in my underpants. Yep. And they say, action, and we start moving, and I'm like, uh-oh, what's happening here? Maybe it sensed my fear, but it was uncomfortable, and it just started bucking bronco, and I was like, ah! And I flew and did a little flip-de-doo. I could hear him off in the distance say, what's going on? Are we cutting? Let's take it. Jack, take it from the top. We didn't get any of that. I was like, no, you take it from the top. You get on this fucking buffalo.
And then, of course, the scene where he asked them to tie him to a tree so that he could fight through his drug withdrawals provides for some very funny lines that were not particularly fun to hear while sitting next to my friend's mom in high school.
If you untie me, I will literally suck your dick right now.
I love the pussy.
Ben Stiller, once he's kidnapped, and he's yelling cut as they're waterboarding him. They're just torturing this guy, and he still thinks this is part of the movie. And then as he's slowly finding out that this is real life, he also learns that this tiny village only has one DVD, and it is Simple Jack, the movie that nearly ruined his career. Because
everybody knows you never go full retard.
Tug Speedman is performing Simple Jack by memory for this village, and the guys running this heroin processing plant are trying to hold him ransom. Meanwhile, the executives and his agent are fighting over whether they're actually going to rescue him or not. He's a falling star, and they don't feel like it's worth it. So Tom Cruise decides that they will weep for him in the press, but then ultimately take out the insurance policy on him and buy a G5 airplane. Matthew McConaughey, of course, is a good dude. All he wants to do is get his client, Tug Speedman, the TiVo that was promised to him on set, which was not given, despite the fact that it was a rider in his contract. And that's the only thing that he's focused on the entire movie. So ultimately, the gang decides that they're gonna go rescue their friend, and they come up with a hilarious plan that involves another level of character. Robert Downey Jr., who's playing an actor, who's playing a character, who is now going undercover as a poppy farmer, which makes him a dude playing a dude disguised as another dude. When in reality, he's actually a dude playing a dude disguised as another dude. Pretty incredible Inception level shit. Ultimately, these gentlemen save the day, but Tug Speedman has found his new life. He's happy here. He's getting to perform in front of crowds that appreciate him. He has a son now, Half Squat, and he thinks his life is perfect. But moments later, young Half Squat begins stabbing him in the back, literally, and gets tossed away, only to give one of the funniest facial expressions I've ever seen in a movie. Ben Stiller manages to make it across the bridge before it blows up, but everyone is knocked over on their asses. He falls to the ground. Robert Downey Jr. goes to rescue him, and we come full circle to the scene at the beginning of the movie.
I can't feel my legs. No, they're in a puddle. See, there's a puddle right there. No worries. Oh, good.
Finally, we arrive at the Oscars, where Jon Voight is very upset to find out that the winner is Tropic Thunder. All I can tell you at this point is, if you haven't seen it, definitely watch it, and if you have seen it, go watch it again. It is well directed, it's brilliantly written, it's fantastically acted, it's just executed to perfection. There's nothing I would have done differently. They did such a great job from start to finish. It's actually a beautiful, visually it's a beautiful film, because it's sort of reminiscent of Hearts of Darkness, the documentary made about the making of Apocalypse Now, which is phenomenal, and unironically just as good of a movie as Apocalypse Now. You get to watch a director losing his mind while making this insanely expensive movie, and everything that could possibly go wrong is going wrong. And I think a lot of the inspiration for Tropic Thunder must have come from not just Apocalypse Now, but from Hearts of Darkness. But this is just a movie unlike any other. Again, people constantly say about this film, you couldn't make this movie today. You really couldn't make it then either, but they did. And there will always be artists who are willing to push the boundary, and it needs to be done intelligently. It needs to be done cleverly. And like I said, if this was a case of Robert Downey Jr. just playing a black character, that would have been very bizarre. But that's not what this is. The whole joke is that the character he is playing is an egotistical dipshit who thinks he's allowed to do this. That's the whole point. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have on this one, guys. Again, definitely check it out if you haven't seen it. I don't know why the hell you watch this video if you haven't seen it, but if you haven't seen it, go watch it immediately. Tropic Thunder, 2008, one of the funniest movies ever made. I'm gonna try to catch up and try to make more videos like this over the next few weeks. I am pretty busy right now. I've got a job that I'm apparently not allowed to talk about, that I am doing currently, but I will do my best to find some time to continue to make these videos. But if you go onto the channel and you want to see more content like this, there's plenty of other videos. We got this one, we got that one, and we got this one. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.